The impact a mother can have on her children is indispensable. Hi, my name is Dr. Ron Eccles, and today my mother turns 86 years old. It is July 24th, 2021, and I praise God that Mom is still with us, lost Dad a couple years ago, and I wanted to take a moment. This is not just a tribute to my mom, but this is a tribute to mothers or parents in general. So if you're a dad, this also goes for you, but I'm going to use my mom as a tremendous example. You see, you have the ability to help steer, to help influence the course of your children's lives, and not just your children's lives, but many other people around you. You have a purpose. Now, everybody should be listening to this because I'm talking to you directly. Let me share you 5 things with you that Mom delivered or deposited into my life that have made a difference. Now, many of them she did directly, knowingly, and some she did just by me observing her life, and sometimes through the things she didn't do correctly, right? Because, hey, parents, our kids hopefully can learn even from our mistakes. So the number one is my mother and my father both taught me the value of a great work ethic. Now, recently, I have a post, a YouTube, and also posted on some of my other social media platforms. And I talked about getting off the couch and getting back to work. And it's not a disparaging commentary on those people who are unemployed right now, or people who ever get unemployed, or people that work in, let's say, lower wage jobs. This is about lifting you up. You see, my parents both come from very poor backgrounds. Their parents were immigrants and also had very little. They were depression people, and they know what it's like to really struggle. Both my mom and dad were able to raise the status for my sisters and I to, let's say, middle class. And they did it through years, decades of hard work, many times working 2 and 3 jobs, both parents. And I gotta tell you, that great work ethic, I think that work ethic is what really made America one of the greatest countries on the face of the earth. Now, depending upon your background, you may say, hey, America's got a lot of baggage and a lot of bad history, from slavery to oppression of women, taking, the sometimes wealthy taking advantage of the poor. Absolutely, no doubt about that. But it's not unique to America. And I'm not making an excuse for America, because listen, we got to own up as a country and say, hey, listen, some of our history, man, it's a dark place, right? But there's much good in our history as well. And we can't throw out the good because of the bad. If that were the case, we'd have to erase history from the planet, from every country, from every civilization, because, listen, unfortunately, people sometimes are bad. In fact, from a biblical standpoint, we're all sinners and we're saved by the mighty grace of an incredible God. But yet we still mess things up, right? And I mess things up too. So number one was my mom taught me and my sisters the value of a great work ethic. I've been blessed by that work ethic, and I've been able to really build a substantial life, because this country, America, is just a land of opportunity, and still is today. I want to encourage you. If you don't like your job and you don't think you're making enough money, you don't get a fair wage, you have an opportunity to change everything. And that brings me to the second deposit my mother made into my life. Now, my mother graduated from high school. My father never did. But one thing both my parents, especially Mom, ingrained in me was the value of education. Now, in her day, and even in my earlier years, the higher level of education typically meant higher pay scales and better standard of living. Today, I look back and I know many of my friends who never graduated from high school or never went to college are multimillionaires today because of their work ethic, because of how they applied themselves, and they went through plenty of tough times, and some of them even went bankrupt or went out of business and then started back up again. They didn't give up. You see, between that great work ethic and life education, now listen carefully, I think today education goes beyond books. I've heard it said once, and I repeated it many times, that I believe we graduate too many people with degrees and not enough education. And I think that's really true. As a matter of fact, I'll make this statement. I believe most people hit a certain age. And for men, my observation is around 25, and they plateau when it comes to their growth in education. Up until around 25, they were on a a upward trajectory and they almost flatten out and learn very little as they get older, and they mature the same way. They mature very slowly, and they get most people will get older and not much wiser. You see, I believe that we were born for more. You were born not to be stagnant, not to stay inside of a comfort zone, but to grow by getting outside your comfort zone. And that's going to require educating yourself on a regular basis. Just recently, I was at a 3-day event by a friend of mine, Jason Wojciechowski, co-owner of the Life and Air program. And a young man came up to me during that time because I was dressed like I normally do, not like this. I was dressed in a suit jacket, a really nice shirt, and I was represented because as a professional speaker and a professional business consultant, when I go out into business events, I want to make sure I represent who I am and what I do. Young man, 18 years old, sat down next to me and he said, "You seem to be very successful, probably more successful than anyone in the room here, and certainly more knowledgeable. Why are you here?" And I said, "Because I'm always learning. Every single day, I learn from people who are younger, people from different ethnic backgrounds, people from different belief systems. I learn because God put so much incredible stuff that I'll never live long enough to learn it all. So I go and I learn and I get around other people." And I said to the 18-year-old, I said, "I can even learn from you." And that's a philosophy that Mom really helped build up in me. Number 3, all people are equal in the eyes of God. My dad had some racist overtones and some anti-Semitic comments would come out of his mouth, but he had friends that were Jews. He had friends that were Black and Hispanic and all different backgrounds, but my father was still raised jaded and still had, I remember, racist jokes, different, anti-Semitic jokes, different things that would come out of his mouth. And I grew up thinking that was relatively normal, but at a certain age, at 18, particularly when I became a Christian at 18, I began to rethink my worldview based upon gospel worldview. And I've really fought racism and fought misogyny, which is not about getting massaged, which I thought at one time, right? It's about how I am not superior to anybody based upon my gender, based upon the color of my skin, based upon being born in America. Man, what makes me better is my willingness to push myself to my highest abilities that God gave me. And it doesn't make me more valuable than someone else. It just makes me the highest value of who I am. You see, I believe with all my heart that all people are created equal. Not everybody lives up to their capacity. And not everybody's on equal footing when it comes to certain things based upon how you look at equal. But based upon a biblical-centric view, God believes we're all equal. We don't always act that way. And when it comes to the Constitution of the United States, we've got some problems, but it was written properly. We just didn't enact it properly. See, all Americans are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not the guarantee of happiness. You get to pursue it, which means you got to get active. So it's time for America. It's a call for Black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, people of mixed races, people of every ethnicity that makes this country great, to start loving one another and valuing each other as human beings, and then dropping labels as much as possible. And let's apply ourselves to work and standards that we're going to set that are high, not lowering the bar. Number 3, this is number 4. Mom taught me that all decisions have consequences. Good decisions will yield most likely good consequences. Bad decisions, again, you can figure it out, bad consequences. And we must own up to our decisions. It's time to stop blaming everyone else for your situation. Now, I know that there's certainly unfairness in this world. There's no question about that. But life's not always fair. Life's been unfair to me at times. And I know that I don't carry certain disadvantages that other people do. Some people are judged simply by the color of their skin, and they're not judged well. Some people are judged by their gender or their sexual preferences. And I think that there's a time for us to really begin to look at how we really make those decisions and really understand our consequences to them. If we really want to have a better country, we want to have better societies, we want to have lower crime, we want to have more freedoms, we want to see economic prosperity, distributed well for people, that people have the opportunity to be prosperous, not guaranteed it, you got to work for it, then I think it's time for us to really consider owning up to our actions or lack of actions. Listen, this is with no condemnation in my heart, but if a woman, let's say, goes to high school and graduates, works really hard, and let's say a woman coming from, let's say, a poorer family, and then she gets a scholarship maybe to help her get to college. Then she graduates college with honors because she worked really hard during that time. And then she goes on to medical school and she does really well and gets a residency to become a neurosurgeon. And over years of giving up her life and sacrificing to learn, spending a fortune, literal fortune in education, she gets out and she gets to operate on people's brains or spinal cords or extremities, depending upon what her specialty is. And as a result, she's going to make probably a pretty good income. Now, should the person who didn't get out of high school, who went and got a GED, and listen, I'm not putting that down, not at all, because I know people who just got a GED that are millionaires. That make more money than a lot of my doctor friends. But let's say the person just went and got a GED and they decided, hey, they're going to settle for working at a fast food restaurant. I owned fast food restaurants before, right? So I get it. And I worked in them coming up, going through school. But let's say they just settle for that and they're fighting to get a higher minimum wage. Should that person get the same value of an hour's worth of work versus that neurosurgeon who spent all those years, all that education, and all that time and money? And the answer is no, they shouldn't. There's different value based upon the services or goods we provide. So when we make decisions, we have to understand there are consequences for that decisions. We don't like our consequences, go back and make better decisions. All right, so let me go back real quick before I get to my fifth one. Number one, Mom taught me about the power of a great work ethic, the value of it, that education provides opportunity. More education, more opportunity. And education doesn't always mean a college degree. It means educating yourself. She taught me that all people are equal in God's eyes and they all have inherent human value based upon God. And I should treat people accordingly. Number four, that every decision has a consequence. Good decisions, good consequences. Bad decisions, bad consequences. And then the last one is the power of love. You know, I have a Bible study that I help just guide on Friday mornings, and I'm surrounded by a group of brilliant men who love God. Saturday mornings, I get to mentor and work again with another group of Christian men, and I work with other people of different backgrounds, but one of the things I do know, and that is love conquers a multitude of sin. What we need in the United States and worldwide is more of God's love coming from inside of us out towards other people. My mom loved me. She loved my sisters. We love her dearly. And we're so grateful for her life. Mom has carried a weight on her shoulder her entire life because the name on her birth certificate is Marie McDermott. Her father, John McDermott, and Nellie Burke, mother, on the birth certificate are people she never knew. She was raised by what we call my grandmother, Lulu, and Lulu's brother, Tom, who died when I was young. And Mom she was loved by Lulu, but she felt a lot of rejection from their family, was made fun of, was never made to feel at home or with family. And Mom struggled throughout her years of not knowing who her family was and why they gave her up. And I've always tried to explain to Mom, because of how much love she poured into us, that the family she built, and my father's family who adopted her, and in fact, I gotta say this, and Dad, Dad can't hear me, Dad's dead, but man, they love Mom. They'll miss Mom way more. She's gone than they miss Dad, because Mom sowed into their lives love. Guys, listen, you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world, and it starts with love. It ends with love, and love is in the middle. I fight real hard each day to pray, and I ask God, please fill my heart with more love for other people, because sometimes I can be very unloving. And I say pride probably gets in the middle of that. So I want to encourage you to, if your mom's alive, to give her some love. If you're the mom or you're the dad, give your kids love and sow into them the things that they need. Go out, work hard, make a big difference. Look at the opportunities and seize the opportunities wherever you can in a good way. Educate yourself regularly. I educate myself every day without getting another degree because I learn every day. Understand that everyone is your brother or sister, no matter the color of their skin, no matter whether they attend a mosque, synagogue, church, or they're an atheist. Love other people. Decide of things, make decisions that will lead you in the right direction. And number five, make sure that you spend a lot of time loving other people. Listen, God bless you. Mom, thank you. Happy birthday. I love you. And I hope this message gets around to so many people and encourages them.